What's the first thing a jungler does when the game kicks off? Deciding which mythic item to buy? Figuring out how to gank? Nope. For a jungler, the very first thing is understanding the match at hand. Today, we're diving into the basics that many overlook, breaking down this game, and discussing how to consistently jungle like a pro. First off, let's dive into the champ breakdown for this match. Looking at mid lane for both teams, we've got melee champs that are prone to trading blows. Our mid is running Ignite, and their Kassadin is pretty squishy pre-level 6. But since Gwen is also a bit weak early on, unless there's a solid opportunity or a quick pick in mid, we should prioritize our own scaling. Now let's check out top lane. Both sides are melee, and our Garen's got Ignite. This gives him an edge for early all-ins, so we might try to capitalize on that. As for bot lane, we lack solid CC. It seems like our Twitch will be roaming and letting EZ scale. So, it's clear that as long as our topside jungle isn't invaded, we can comfortably farm from bot to top and look for plays in mid and top. To put it simply, when analyzing a match, start by gauging champ strengths, then consider the summoner spell choices. Like, if Garen had taken teleport and we couldn't really 1v1 Shin early, then starting our clear from topside and looking for plays mid and bot would be the smarter move. Once we get into the game, based on our initial strategy, what we need to do is ensure our defensive vision is set up properly to prevent Xin Zhao from forcing a jungle swap. For Xin Zhao, if the bot lane isn't easily contestable, and Gwen can't win a 1v1 in the early stages, driving me into the bot jungle lets him comfortably farm and make plays in the top half of the map. Alright, that's what we call step 1. Now it's time to check if our strategy was on point. Starting with the typical jungle route, we can see that as we began jungling, our support Twitch was already attempting to pressure other lanes. Everything up to level 4 pretty much played out as we had predicted. In the meantime, Shin tried to gank Garen but didn't succeed. In game analysis, there's no definitive right or wrong, just better or worse choices. Players in higher ranks tend to make fewer bad decisions. Ultimately, constantly reviewing and understanding where you could have chosen better will make climbing the ranks easier. After we finished our jungle clear, the mid lane presented gank opportunities just as we had anticipated. After this sequence of events, our first phase effectively came to a close. The next thing on our agenda, which I'd call the 1.5 step, is to track the enemy jungler's movements. Has anyone here watched Faker's games? Faker often wards around the enemy's raptors. Any idea why? First off, that ward placement provides a clear view of the enemy jungler's movements, especially during their first round of jungle camps. If the enemy starts jungling from the bottom side and hasn't cleared the raptors or appeared on the map, you can reasonably guess that the enemy jungler might be in the bot river, looking to gank or possibly invading our jungle. But if they move up after clearing the raptors and the enemy bot lane hasn't left their lane, then being near the bot river is probably safe. This is a super handy warding spot. Try adopting it and you'll likely reduce the enemy jungler's success rate when they attempt ganks. Before the early laning phase ends, it's best for junglers to avoid being too predictable. Meaning, if the enemy is pretty certain you're in the bot jungle, they can gank top without worrying about a counter gank from you, or they might just invade and steal your camps. This is something we junglers don't want happening. Once we've got a handle on all this, we just need to focus on steadily leveling up and looking for prime opportunities to pick off enemies. This will allow us to effortlessly dictate the game's pace. In this particular game, for instance, Gwen started to dominate after acquiring her 2 main items. Early on, it's ideal for our teammates to back us up in invading the enemy jungle or securing objectives, such as the dragons or the Rift Herald. Once we're in a dominant position, our focus should be on making calculated plays and catches, wherever we can. Engaging in a 1v1 is definitely less unpredictable than a full-blown 5v5 skirmish. Our aim during our dominant phase is to capitalize on our advantages and clinch the victory. Expanding our economic lead and securing Baron is the way to go. In other words, pushing the inhibitor towers isn't as effective for securing a win as taking the Baron. The Baron, Elder Dragon, and Dragon Soul are the critical turning points in the game. Alright, after all this talk, does anyone remember the primary objective of the jungler when entering a game? It's time to revisit what we discussed earlier. Firstly, when we jump into a game, we need to analyze the matchup and strategize in a way that plays to our strengths. Following that, steadily grow. Look for opportunities to widen the gold gap and set ourselves up for a solid win. We'll cover the rest next time. I'm John. If you enjoyed my video, please give it a thumbs up and share. Your support is what keeps me going. See you next time.